Be careful what you wish for. I know that for a fact. Wishes are brutal, unforgiving things. They burn your tongue the moment they're spoken, and you can never take them back. Alice Hoffman. In today's video, I'm going to make a connection between two things that the vast majority of the world has not seen being connected. Something happened in early spring of 2020 that has led directly to what's going on now in fall of 2021. BLM, defund the police, has directly caused the shipping backlog in California. The reason they're having to redirect all of these container ships to Florida because they can't get unloaded in California has directly to do with this. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are like, okay, prove it. There's no way you can prove that, really. Watch this. The first place we have to go is perception is reality. You may not want to accept that, but that is how the world works. Perception is reality. How you are perceived will be the reality of what you have to deal with in the world. How events are perceived is the reality of what will occur in real life. Now, who has seen all of the images coming out of California? The shoplifting surge, the crime surge. Well, what do you think this is a result of? Of course, it's a result of the police pulling back and security forces pulling back and not stopping these people. They walk into Walgreens and all these other places with impunity and they fill up bags because they know nobody's going to stop them. And even if they were to be arrested, they had a no bail thing going on where they'd be right back out on the street. Guy just rolled in with a bike in this particular one and started loading up trash bags full of stuff, and the security people just wouldn't stop anything. Well, where do you think these goods were going? What do you think they were doing with all these goods? That's right. They were selling them on the black market. They were creating their own black markets for all sorts of things. Now, the irony of all ironies is this. This is what Washington, D.C. did in collusion with Colombia to collapse the economy in Venezuela. They went into Venezuela, the drug gangs from Colombia, with D.C. money. They bought up all of the goods with U.S. dollars, then took them back across the border into Colombia and set up black markets where, get this, they sold the goods, but only for bolivars. So they flooded a whole bunch of U.S. dollars into Venezuela, while at the same time they pulled a whole bunch of bolivars out of the economy. And we know what happens when that occurs. Hyperinflation. Here's an image from one of those black markets. Advil, Zantac, Centrum, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, you name it. And they operated with impunity, and the Colombian government did nothing about it. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, believes that the labor shortage is because businesses they aren't paying workers enough. Pay them more. You can't compete with a black market. This is what Joe Biden doesn't get. You can't compete with a black market. You see, all those people not working, not unloading those ships, they're working. They're just working in the black market. See what happened here? Now, as far as perception being reality, San Francisco officials question Walgreens store closures. By the way, Walgreens is closing up shop left and right in California because of all of these thefts. Say crime might not be the only factor. They have a sales problem because they believe it's an online issue. More people are buying the stuff online and having it delivered through different delivery services than they are going into the stores. Well, why do you think they're not going into the stores? Perception is reality. Because there's thefts and people going in there and just robbing the place blind. It's like, well, why would I go in and with actual cash in hand or debit card in hand where I know criminals won't be confronted? Perception is reality. So there's a huge official labor shortage. There's a whole bunch of people doing work. They're just working off the clock, under the table, whatever you want to call it, off the books, doing this kind of stuff. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. Now, this happened, and this is an image I used from another video, way back in World War II, when they were issuing the initial beginning of what we call food stamps, were at one time actual physical stamps. Some were for meat, some were for dairy, some were for butter, some were for different things. And you had your allotment. But, of course, whenever there's government trying to stick its hand into free markets, there's going to be a black market. Shipping debacle, published 2 hours ago, will lead to increased prices long-term, Florida Ports Council chair says. See, even the redirecting of those containers here, it's going to take us forever to catch up on this. Supply chain might not see a result until spring. Now, why do we not have that same problem here? Well, BLM never took root in Florida. All that defund the police crap never took root here. And so we have all sorts of jobs and all sorts of people filling jobs. It's an over-reliance on an Asian market that's bringing in very low-cost goods. And within that, everyone is looking at what kind of a profit margin is available. See, those jobs are never coming back in California. Those jobs are never coming back in California. Now, to dovetail with this, it's the same logic argument as long as you take it all the way down to its natural end. This is a quote from Ann Coulter on an entirely different subject, but it proves the point. She said, the idea that making an activity legal would reduce its incidence is preposterous. That's true. This is exactly like the Clintonian statement about wanting to make abortion safe, legal, and rare. The most effective way to make something rare is to make it illegal. That's exactly right. However, when you make something illegal, you make it worth a ton of money. Meaning that legal abortions are driven by the demand side. Meaning all of the people that want to go have the abortions, if they're legal, are going to go to all of the places where you can legally get one, driving the cost of one down to almost nothing. In fact, it was mostly free. But then when you make it illegal and you make it rare and you make it something that you can't get, it doesn't matter whether it's abortion or anything else. If you make it illegal when people still want it, you are creating a black market. So long as large sums of money are involved, and they are bound to be if, fill in the blank here, anything is illegal, it is literally impossible to stop the traffic or even to make a serious reduction in its scope. This is Milton Friedman. This is Econ 101. Illegal is not an argument, it's an appeal to authority. Now, laws are not arbitrary dictates always to control a population, but they are universal standards of morality. Universal in the sense of whoever is making the law at that time for whatever group of people. Whatever rules they want to play by. Proven again, time and again, with prohibition, with so many other things. They can't collect legal taxes from illegal money, Al Capone. Now, here's where things get a little sideways. And this is where you're going to have to scratch your head a little bit and think, what do I really value? Mexico's prostitutes, and this is all the way back from 9 April 2020, end up homeless as coronavirus keeps clients at home, shuts hotels. Now, a lot of these women had very good incomes and took care of their kids and filled the fridge with groceries and paid their bills, doing something that was technically illegal, but largely in Mexico, they look the other way. So their reaction, and here's the most insane thing, they shut the hotels and the clients stopped coming because they're afraid of catching the Rona from a prostitute. If that doesn't boggle the mind, I don't know what would. So I'm sure a lot of people out there saying, well, there shouldn't be prostitution. There shouldn't be this kind of stuff. Anytime you use that word should or shouldn't, we should stop this bad thing like prostitution. We should stop this other bad thing like abortion. You're moving closer and closer and closer to socialism. Because what you're really saying is government should this, government should that, government should the other. There should be a law against. There should be some way to stop people from blah, blah, blah. All that is the appeal to authority. And when you appeal to authority, you're basically making a statement against free markets. This is from 9 August 2019, Capitalism, talking about when American Christians were socialists. Capitalism was neither a natural force nor a supernatural one. This hand was not invisible, and it was certainly not the hand of God. See, the guy who's in business for himself and just trying to make, a few bucks, can't compete with the black market. That's when he goes to government and says, hey, I'm doing things the right way. I'm paying my taxes, and I'm paying my licensing fees and my insurance, and I'm doing all this, and I'm staying in business the right way. And this other guy working out of his garage down the road, he's doing what I'm doing, but he's keeping all the profits. Government, you need to step in and regulate this more. So then there's this argument between free market and Christian value. It's a contradiction. Because if you're free market, you would be for the entire free market. If you're a free market capitalist, you should say, okay, whatever goes, goes. But then why would you ever do anything legally ever again when you can make more money doing it, quote unquote, illegally? See, people think of the the black market, and the first image that comes to mind is something like this. Ballistic weapons and knives and all this kind of stuff. They don't think of black markets as potatoes, onions, cucumbers. And here's the cherry on this sundae. The biggest, most unregulated free markets in the world are not in America. People believe, America is the capitalist free enterprise center of the entire planet. Not true. Absolutely not true. You know what the number one thing sold on the black market is around the world? Sugar. And you know where? Africa. Africa and parts of Asia right now command the vast majority of the actual free market in the world. And yeah, that free market buys and sells some pretty aberrant and disgusting things. So you have to ask yourself, at what level do you want government involved? People talk about, quote unquote, trafficking. Well, trafficking is just another word for marketing. A lot of times they put the word human in front of it. So you'd be for Interpol having a larger role in the world to stop that. You see, I listen to Glenn Beck, by the way, talks about this all the time, human trafficking around the world. But also talks about free markets. But then there's like, the government has to step in here. Well, where does it stop? Where does it stop? You cannot make a man worth a given amount by making it illegal for anyone to offer him anything less. You merely deprive him of the right to earn the amount that his abilities and situation would permit him to earn, while simultaneously you deprive the community even of the moderate services that he is capable of rendering. In brief, for a low wage, you substitute unemployment. You do harm all around with no comparable compensation, which takes us right back here. You cannot have the free market as North America has known it to be without a heavy police presence maintaining law and order. Because when you get rid of the police presence and you take that away, the black markets take over. They go in, they rob, they steal as much as they possibly can. They don't work. And this becomes their new business. This becomes their job. But the strange thing about this is people think that's a leftist value. That's the people on the left. That's what the left want. Well, wait a minute. I thought the people on the right were for the free market. We're for the black market. There's as many black markets in Appalachia for thousands of things. And, honestly, too, in Florida, for just about anything. Capitalism, free enterprise, working for yourself, that seems more like a conservative value. But California just made it a reality. And criminalizing, saying, well, this black market over here is bad, but this one over here that we're doing is good. Sorry, that don't work. In for a penny, in for a pound. I mean, if you're buying and selling this kind of stuff between you, back and forth, and this kind of stuff between you, back and forth, without paying taxes on it, without telling the government about it, how is this any different? It's a hard thing to put together. It really is a very, very difficult thing. Because if you really want free markets, go to Africa. If you really want to live in a completely free market society where the government just does not get involved, go to Africa. And if you want a socialist society where the government intervenes the first time anybody is offended about anything, well, that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading. Now, does the story about Venezuela make a lot more sense? It wasn't socialism that collapsed Venezuela. It was actually unbridled, unfettered capitalism invading from Colombia, manipulating currencies that did. Because what Venezuela was doing was exactly what the U.S. has done for years. Subsidized goods on grocery shelves. 40% of your grocery bill is paid before you ever even walk in the store by the U.S. government in the form of subsidies. Because without the subsidies, everything in the grocery store would be 40% higher. On top of inflation, by the way. And I'll leave it there. God bless, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.